Hello and a warm welcome from Nigeria. It's nice to have you with us in this new edition of EcoAfrica, the environmental show brought to you by DW in Germany, Uganda's NTV and Channels Television right here in Nigeria. I am Chris Alems, and with me is my charming colleague in Kampala.
Hello Chris, and a big hello to all our viewers there. Thank you for joining us. I am Sandra Twinovidio, and as always, we always have interesting reports lined up for you to learn from and to also enjoy. So here is a quick look at what we have for you today. How a startup in Tunisia is providing access to clean water. Why a designer from the Netherlands creates solar furniture. And why people in Lesotho are upset about new dams in the region. Shocking news, but true. Each year, floods affect nearly 50,000 people in Uganda, leaving many dead and thousands displaced. The flood water costs the country over $60 million a year, according to the World Bank. So what can be done to help? We paid a visit to Western Uganda, where people are planting bamboo to help protect themselves and their communities from flooding.
These seedlings will grow fast. In a few months' time, the bamboo will be twice as tall as Alan Tumusime. He works for the World Wildlife Fund as community facilitator. Now, he's supervising the planting of bamboo along 5 kilometers of the river Nyamwamba. Over 400,000 seedlings are already in the ground.
It has a root network that holds the soil together. Secondly, bamboo, like any other water reeds like we see, bamboo is stronger. One, it holds the stones back and any other thing that the water would have carried. That means there would be only a small volume of water that would go through the bamboo, which is controllable and may not cause a lot of harm.
The Nyamwamba gets its water from the Rwenzori Mountains, but the region has seen increased flooding in the past decade. Scientists say rising temperatures are melting glaciers on the mountain tops. Last year, flooding in the Kasese district left over 1,600 people homeless. They're still living in camps for displaced persons. Rehman Amali is one of them.
We can go back temporarily. We spend there like 2 to 3 years. Again, the floods are back. Are we going to be in the same place where it is flooding every day? I can't go back in that trauma. I feel like we should start a new life.
The Ugandan government and the WWF are working together to protect the 22 villages along the river that were hit hardest by the floods. A decision was made to plant bamboo because it's fast-growing and robust. On the nearby Sebwe River, the benefits are already apparent. Bamboo was planted here about 10 years ago.
The river has not stopped flooding, but the difference now is that whenever the river floods, the effect of destruction is minimal. It has given us a clear picture that with nature, we can still use nature to protect nature.
As long as no trees are cut down to make way for it, planting bamboo along rivers is an environmentally friendly solution. People who help plant the woody grass are paid the equivalent of around $40 a week. Catherine Asinja joined the project at the beginning of the year. It's enabled her to build up her own business. I only had one sewing machine when I started planting bamboo. Today I own 2 machines. I was able to pay for it with savings from the bamboo project. So it's been a positive change for me. The plant is also a source of food for animals like golden monkeys and mountain gorillas. In eastern Uganda, bamboo shoots are also a traditional delicacy. Alan Tumusime is now trying to popularize bamboo in this region too.
We are going to take it up as well to introduce that to the communities so that it increases the value for bamboo within Kasese, and in the due course, I think people will take up bamboo planting and growing, which would, with time, come up with so many advantages.
Bamboo doesn't need a lot of water, so it won't dry out the ground. For Alan Tumusime, it offers an excellent solution. He's glad that the project will continue until the end of the year, and that in time, people will be able to resettle near the river once again.
Let us switch it up to another topic now, the power of the sun. Sure, it can be functional and an eco-friendly way to generate energy, but whoever imagined solar power could be beautiful?
Yes, it's true. A designer from the Netherlands has cast a different light on solar power. Our colorful designs will open your eyes to the potential of solar energy. It's amazing.
For Dutch designer Marianne van Elbel, the sun is her inspiration.
So it all started with this. That something as small and beautiful as this could harvest energy.
Solar cells take center stage in her designs, like in these illuminated window decorations. These solar window panels look like stained glass, but they also have a function. And this solar-powered hanging lamp, called Sunna, is designed to mimic sunsets.
The sun is like this beautiful thing we like all know very well, and I mean this moment when you're on the beach and you see the sun setting, this magical moment. That's kind of like what I want to use in the lights. So when the sun goes down, the sun goes on, and that's like everyone has this personal relation with the sun, but it's also like the fact that it's powering objects, and this light is super fascinating.
Marianne van Elbel works out of this studio in Amsterdam. She collaborates with scientists to create objects with a double function. They promote energy efficiency, such as this table, which is also a docking station.
It captures daylight, and then you can plug your phone or a light, or you can charge your devices from this.
One of her bigger projects was for the Dubai Expo 2020. She created the colorful solar panels for the Dutch pavilion. The solar roof provided power for the pavilion and also allowed in enough sunlight for the plants. Marianne's designs show how diverse solar panels can be.
These are organic photovoltaics, which is like they're printed on PET, and they don't use any very heavy metals, which is bad for the environment, and they're completely circular. So they're super lightweight, so it's kind of like a new generation of solar technology.
Marianne van Elbel has also come up with a solution for food production in a self-powering greenhouse. Her creation enables the production of food in places where there's a lack of electricity or farming space.
This is my creation of the future of farming, and it's called Power Plant. And you basically can grow your food everywhere on your rooftop, so you don't have to fly it in from the other side of the world, but you can really grow it within your own home. So it uses vertical farming, and this is all powered by solar glass.
Even though she's a designer by trade, scientific developments are important to Marianne's work.
Solar cells have evolved so much since since their invention. And I think it's time that we start looking up in the sky, where we've got all this potential, instead of digging down in the ground. I mean, if we could live in balance with nature and use sources that are coming all the time and are in abundance, I think, then the world can be a very beautiful place.
For Marianne van Elbel, the future of solar technology certainly looks bright.
Back to Africa and to Tunisia, the country is struggling with a severe water shortage, both in the rural and the urban areas. But one startup has found a solution to the water scarcity problem by basically making water out of thin air. It may seem unbelievable, but it is true. It is our Doing a Bit this week.
water. For the women of Jendouba in northwestern Tunisia, it's a godsend. Clean drinking water is becoming increasingly difficult to find here. Tunisia is one of 25 countries worldwide with the lowest availability of water per capita. And due to climate change and population growth, the country's drinking water needs are increasing by some 6% a year. So a French-Tunisian startup came up with an idea, a way to derive water out of thin air, using what it calls an atmospheric water generator, or cumulus. This is how it works. The cumulus sucks in warm, humid air and cools it off. The result is condensation, rather like morning dew. The water is then filtered, mineralized and stored in a tank. A single cumulus device can produce between 20 and 30 litres of drinking water a day. The startup built prototypes of the cumulus in its workshop in Tunis.
You'd normally connect this machine to an electricity supply, but you can also operate it using solar power. Photovoltaic panels are not on this one here, but you could fit two on the right and the left, and that would generate energy. Then you could produce water from just solar power and air.
Now the smart water generator is being tested in practice. With funding from sponsors, the company has installed the cumulus in 2 schools based in remote areas.
And how about you? If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
Water scarcity in Africa is predicted to reach dangerous levels by 2025. According to the UN, global water consumption has increased 6-fold in the last 100 years. So what are the reasons behind this looming shortage? And how can countries and communities in Africa ensure that everyone has access to water? My co-host, Sandra Trinobio, spoke to an expert from the UN Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance.
To finally meet you, Dr. Are we really having a water scarcity problem on the continent? And if it is so, why?
Actually, yes, we do have a water crisis. We talk about water scarcity. It's getting even worse. There are several explanations for that. Of course, it's not a simple question. There is not one cause, but we have a combination of both global warming and also the urban growth, which are making cities even bigger. So we have less water and more people, to say it in a nutshell.
Water is a natural resource. So how did we get to this point of saying, even with our lakes and water bodies and, the rains, the heavy rains, how bad is it at the moment?
There is a backlog of infrastructure development over the years. The water companies, the government have not invested enough to not only to extend the pipes, let's say, but also to maintain the pipes. So we have very old water networks that are leaking, and at the same time there is also less water due to the global warming. Less water in some places, too much water in other places, meaning flood, inundation that are also damaging the infrastructure.
I know that in Kampala you're working closely with National Sewerage Corporation, and we just want to tap into what you exactly do. How are you helping them to actually provide us Ugandans with a clean, safe, sustainable water supply?
Yes, actually what we do at UN Habitat and with my program, which is the Global Water Alliance, is that we help water operators to help one another. So we are counting with the expertise of the engineers from water companies, for example, from Kampala, to help their peers in other cities to do a better job at maintaining the system. Also, the water quality is important. It's not only the quantity, but we all know now that if you have water, but if it is not safe for human consumption, then it's also a problem, because there are a lot of waterborne diseases. It still remains one of the major cause of death for the children in Africa.
So would you say there are water projects that you do not support or are no-goes for you because they do more harm than good?
Yes, from our perspective as GWOPA, the Global WAPS Alliance, the no-go project would be the big infrastructure project, like big water treatment plant or new sewage connection, but not adapted to the local context, and especially if the local capacities of engineers who will be in charge of operating those networks is not built. Also projects which have not included enough consultation with the local communities are also a no-go.
Would you say borehole use is the way to go for people in the countryside in Uganda?
I would say let's be very cautious with the use of groundwater. It's true that it's very tempting to tap into this resource because there is less treatment involved, for example, because it's water so deep that it's not supposed to be contaminated. But the groundwater may not be easily replenished by the rains, so you can pump, and at some point there is no more water left. That has already happened. It's also very dangerous to leave it unregulated, so that people are drilling their own boreholes to complement or to avoid to have to be connected with the city council in the cities.
Now we also keep hearing that a great opportunity in having great supply or consistent supply of water is to simply use it efficiently. What would that really mean for Africa?
Let's face it, like people in the slum or the average urban citizen have a reasonable use of the water. It's not that they are wasting gallons and gallons of water on watering their lawns or filling up their swimming pool. So it's more important to look at the global use of water, like how much water is used for the industry, how much water is used for the agriculture, for example. There is a lot of water also wasted in unsustainable agricultural system. Yes. So it's not only pointing at the citizens, and especially the poor one, but we need to have a holistic approach on that front.
Okay, and finally, from your many projects, what are some of the lessons that we can draw from them?
Let's trust the local capacity to change the way they are doing things. Let's accompany them instead of forcing them to do differently. I think this is really very important to us in our project.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anne Bousquet, for joining us on the show, and I hope from your experience and just your story, African countries can learn to work together and solve the water scarcity problem. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Sandra.
Did this interview get you thinking? Then you'll definitely be interested in the last report of the day, which shows how important it is to consider the needs of local people and the environment in any water-related projects. Decades ago, for example, South Africa's government decided to build some new dams to address the expected water shortage.
That is very true, Chris. Now, 5 dams are planned for Lesotho, partly to supply water to the neighboring South Africa. But many of the people in the region aren't too happy about it. So let's head there and find out why.
Water-rich Lesotho is keeping thirsty South Africa alive, but the tiny landlocked country is paying a high price for it.
We didn't anticipate that the dams here in Lesotho will bring the misery that is bringing.
I see nothing of the better life that they promised us. If it were up to me, I would decide against building the dam.
The need for water by South Africa remains high, and the source of such water remains the Lesotho Highlands Water Project.
We have been able to divert water to South Africa, but we are limited by the quality of our environment.
Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project started 3 years ago. One of 5 dams is being built here to supply water to neighbouring South Africa. The entire village has been moved to another location.
The construction work hit us hard. They had promised us jobs. Our children are supposed to be earning something from this, but instead they're out of work. While other people in South Africans get the jobs, we go hungry. They also took our fields.
The cornfields and grazing land now house construction workers. Far from leading to greater prosperity, the dam has brought misery for residents, driving 8,000 people from their homes. The water will flow to South Africa's financial hub Johannesburg, 400 kilometres away. For the 16 million people in the city and surrounding province, Lesotho's dams are vital and already provide 60% of their water. Since the project is financed with South African taxpayers' money, Julius Kleinhans has been monitoring it for a long time. He works for the organisation Outer, which seeks to expose corruption and mismanagement.
Urbanisation is taking place, and future development and expansion of business needs more water. And the problem is we're only very limited to the water that we have in South Africa. We don't have innovative technologies and circulated infrastructure yet to recycle water. And currently we highly rely on the Lesotho Islands Phase 2 scheme to provide future demands.
It's one of the largest infrastructure projects in Africa and is supposed to benefit both sides. South Africa pays Lesotho nearly 70 million euros a year for the water, and Lesotho uses the dams to generate electricity for its population. The local project manager from the Lesotho Highlands Authority tells us that in 5 years' time the dam wall will stand right here. 5,000 hectares of land will then be flooded.
As we are all aware, this kind of projects would have social impacts and environmental impacts. And we, as the project, have a number of programs which had been discussed and agreed with the communities as ways and means of mitigating against the loss of land and the loss of grazing areas and production land.
Matusi Sekwi heard exactly the same promises 24 years ago when the Katsa Dam was built. All other dams feed their water into this reservoir from where it's piped to South Africa. Sekwi works for the Seyenoli Legal Centre.
The project was conceived by 2 undemocratic governments of South Africa, apartheid regime and the military regime in Lesotho. Those governments did not have mandate from the people. There is a need for the review of this treaty.
The project is also threatened by massive soil erosion. The construction of the dams, along with overgrazing and climate change, mean that more and more soil is being eroded by the rain and ends up in rivers as sediment. In many places, only bare rock remains. Taole Tisele is a consultant for a national project that aims to protect Lesotho's rivers. Workers here are building low walls into the hillside to reduce the speed and force of rainwater runoff and prevent erosion. They also remove invasive shrubs that would otherwise wipe out endemic plants whose roots help to keep the soil in place.
With the current erosion, the life of such dams would be fairly compromised, the lifetime, because in no time they will be more full of sediment than water. So this would be lost investment. In my opinion, we are at the brink of saving this or letting it fall.
We've come to the end of this week's program. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week. For now, it's goodbye from Lagos, Nigeria.
And it is also time for me to sign off from Kampala here in Uganda. But don't forget to share with us your thoughts and ideas on all our social media platforms. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, bye-bye and take care.